Hey, Family Matters with the one and only Kevin Peterson. I'm Jay Staples. We're going to do this to the best of our ability. Family Matters. We take questions, answer questions, try to stump Kevin, talk football, whatever comes up. But yeah, try to do this every week. So keep questions coming, and it's open dialogue. But I've been told, answering questions, family members are normally too scared to ask. Hence, not a lot of people putting names to questions, and we're leaving names off it. So we learned that the hard way. So, Kevin, how's it going?
We're back in Florida. Love it. Love the humidity. Love the ocean. Love the beach. Love it. Love it. Love it. I'm happy to be home, baby. I'll tell you what.
Going Clemson and USC. I mean,
that I got comments on our staff meeting this morning too. They're like, "Are you confused?"
Yeah. I mean, it's bold, but
yeah, I know. Now my niece went to Clemson, so I support her. And I went to USC, so I support me. My other niece, by the way, went to Vandy. So
beautiful Nashville, Tennessee.
I know, you're home. You're home.
Their football team is getting hot. So
I know. It's crazy.
Anchor down, I think they say.
That's what they say. The Commodores, baby, the Commodores.
So
that's right.
All right. Well, let's get coming. If you've seen this live, you can always ask the question live, or if you're seeing a replay, you can always put it in the comments or direct message. I think the kids say DM me. A lot of people do. Apologize. I'm getting better. I check DMs on all my social media. So some of these have been sitting around for a while, but anyway, I get to them. That's the point. All righty, Kevin.
What do you got?
Everyone says my son has to be willing to change, but he's not. He won't stop drinking. He won't go to treatment, won't even admit how bad it is. We've done everything we can. So, question, where does willingness actually come from, and what do we do if it never shows up?
That is a great question. That is an absolutely amazing.
Willingness, it's kind of like you can't force it, as we know.
Mm-hmm. You can't force it, but what you can do is you can circle the wagons and let them know that you're no longer willing to tolerate the behavior. And that's really the single best thing you can do. This old school methodology of, you just got to wait till they hit rock bottom. The problem is nowadays that means they'll die, So it's really what I honestly believe and what I've perpetuate in everything I do and my books, et cetera, is no, you don't have to just sit around and wait for all hell to break loose. You can circle the wagons and tell the person, I love you, but I'm not doing this anymore. And until you're willing to get help, we're going to keep you at a distance, which means no, we're not going to pay for your phone. You're not going to live in the basement and smoke weed and play video games. We're not covering your car payment. We're not covering your bills. You want to be an adult? You're an adult. And adults live in their own place, pay their own bills, and solve their own problems. And if you find that you're struggling with your substance abuse issues or your mental health issues, and that's preventing you from getting that accomplished, we would be happy to help you address those issues. But until you're ready for that, we're just going to keep you over here and respect your choices. That's how I handle it.
Well, I mean, what I've heard, and you said it, numerous times. I mean, but my follow-up question would be, where's your willingness to do your own work? And like we're going to get into foreshadowing kind of our next question, but I will just say, and we can get into it in the next question because it goes hand in hand, in my opinion, is, it sounds like you're waiting for this willingness to come. And the whole time you're just sitting on your hands and, waiting for your son to magically get the willingness to change.
Yeah.
The reality is, like my friend Kevin Peterson always says, like while you're waiting, the environment hasn't changed either. So there's no willingness on his. Where's your willingness to change how you're doing it? And it sounds as if you're putting some healthy boundaries in, which in itself is a change.
Right. In order to do that, in order to set the healthy boundaries, you're going to have to address the family system and say, okay, so what you're telling us is in order for the best way we can help him is to take care of ourselves. And I was just having this conversation last night with a parent. And I was like, hey, then the number one thing you can do is take care of you. You know, go to therapy, go to 12-step meetings, do some homework, do some reading, get engaged. And because what's going to happen is your loved one who's struggling is going to notice a change in your behavior. And when that happens, that's when everything starts to shift. The old school methodology is, again, waiting around for the other person to change. That's you're in for a long wait, you know. But if you change and change the way you're dealing with them, that's really where the real miracle can occur. Because they'll notice. They're like, hold on, wait a minute. You know, nobody's giving me everything I want. So, you know, why aren't you giving me all the stuff I normally get? It's like, oh, no. You know, you're capable. If you're capable of spending your day, you know, doing drugs and drinking, then you're capable of getting a job and doing your own and solving your own problems.
Yeah. I heard someone say you want to grab an addict's attention, stop talking about them. So stop having that family just nonstop talking about Johnny's addiction, and you'll grab his attention when he realizes people are going on with their lives and their family. So
yeah. Can you imagine not being the center of attention?
Yeah.
I mean, it just sounds horrible.
We may put this on our show bio, because I think this is kind of what started this whole Family Matters. My son's been in treatment for 57 days. And you should put in parentheses, but who's counting? I could actually tell you how many hours. And while he's getting help, my marriage is falling apart. I didn't realize how much of our energy went into managing him. Now that he's gone, the silence is deafening and the fights have gone way up. Is it normal for everything else to start unraveling when the chaos goes away?
Well, I'm guessing what she means is that within the family. So he or she, sorry.
It's a wife. Yeah.
So, I mean, what's happening, right, is that you're no longer, you just said it, Jay, you're no longer focusing on the tornado. And now we're looking around and we're like, oh, okay. There's some other stuff around here that needs to get fixed. So once again, you know, proving the point that you got to address the family system. And if you can address the family system and really dig in and take a look, you know, while this other person is at treatment, and, you know, the elephant in the middle of the room has now been addressed and taken away. Now we got to address the rest of the room, you know, so use this opportunity to seek some help as a family. Maybe everybody needs to do a little therapy. Maybe there needs to be some couples therapy. Maybe there needs to be some family therapy. Maybe you need to walk into some office with someone and say, well, my kid's in treatment, but turns out there's still some other stuff we need to address, and get that help. You know, that's what it's there for. Because, you know, rarely is it just the addict or the alcoholic. It's generally the entire family system. You know, the addict, the alcoholic is a byproduct of that system.
Well,
yeah.
There's this level of distraction, though. Like someone's addiction, the loved one's addiction has been distracting everyone from taking a look at really the family unit in general and so forth. I just know, I wrote a blog about it, but I mean, it really hit home with this question that really triggered my mind, which is a scary place. But I mean, how often addiction is being not only a distraction for the individual suffering, but this family. And now it sounds like you take that kind of distraction away and into a safe place. And this wife is like, this family, I don't even like my husband anymore. I mean, like, I mean, and I joke, but I mean, and you hear it all the time. And yeah, so like I'll just say, like, most families come together over Johnny's addiction, and Johnny's distracted from life by his addiction, but distraction is this powerful kind of overshadowing, like, families, they don't realize you get rid of Johnny's addiction, stop talking about it. Oh boy,
turns out there might be some other issues going on that was masking, and now that we've got that somewhat in check, we have to take a look at the entire system and be like, ooh, turns out maybe he's not the only one.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the case in my family system. I got sober, and all of a sudden everyone was like, so turns out it's not just Kevin, but then nobody wanted to talk about it. So what are you going to do?
I also distracted myself for using the addiction for being disconnected with family. I'll tell you, our family we meet together like 2 or 3 times a year, and I have to give myself like a pep talk before coming to families about how do I communicate, my nephews, what to say, what not to say, and I still don't know how to communicate with my brothers, my mom, my dad. Like, we certainly don't know how to communicate feelings as a family. Then we have these young ones that we're trying to, we're good people, but so anyone that thinks that I've got it all figured out, I'll just play this part of this video because I'm a mess when it comes to family communication as well. So yeah. I could be writing into these questions.
Are you writing the questions, Jay?
Well, I will say a lot do hit home. I'll do, there's
me too.
Yeah. And there's been a little part of me that says like, I thought I was the only one that was having issues. This is people normally early in recovery, and I think I'm coming up on 17 or 18 years, but don't give up hope. I'm sick, put work in. I love this question. And I love it because the first paragraph is all about me and not Kevin, but talk about
thank goodness.
Talking about authenticity. So I'll just give that kind of as a theme. But and you two talk about your own story. My son's been saying sobriety just doesn't feel like him. He says it doesn't feel natural, like it doesn't fit. Is that normal? And what do you say to someone who doesn't feel like they belong in sobriety, with the theme of, she really says, like, she started the question with, do you feel you're authentically meant to be, in recovery or sober? And it got me thinking, but in general, so she says, what do you say to someone who doesn't feel like they belong in sobriety? And is it natural to kind of feel like it doesn't fit early in the process?
You want to go first? I know how important that is to you.
Oh, no. Go ahead. I got to get my thoughts. I mean, it's one of these questions that I just can't.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And it really is a great question. And I'll tell you why. Because everybody walks into their first, sober environment, whether it's a 12-step meeting or a sober activity or a meetup or a Phoenix or whatever. And everyone feels awkward. Nobody walks in like, oh, this is great, I'm going to AA. You feel very awkward. And initially, just because it's a new group, number one. Number two, you're not using. It's uncomfortable. And I don't mean the first couple of weeks. I mean the first year or two. You're like, what the hell am I doing? What's going on? And the important thing to remember, and I think for your son, and it's important for him to understand and remember, is the question you want to ask yourself, is my life getting better? Yes, I'm sober. Yes, it's awkward. Yes, it's uncomfortable. I mean, there's physical awkwardness and uncomfortable because you're not using drugs and alcohol to alter your mood. So that's just weird. It feels weird, but then you got to hang out with other people. And then you know what those other people do? They talk about their feelings and their emotions, and oh my God, you know, and they actually, and here's the really interesting thing about those people, those sober people. They also have a lot of like spiritual principles and integrity, and they live their life differently than they did when they were drinking and using. And that can be pretty hard to adjust to, you know, because they're just living a new way of life. And so, sure, I mean, depending on how old your son is and what's going on and how far down the road he's gone, it's going to be a challenge and it's going to be uncomfortable, but that's okay. Uncomfortable is good. Uncomfortable means you're engaging in the process and digging in. So keep doing it. You know, that's my answer. What's your answer, Jay?
So I'll just say, I think Rich Roll. I've been watching a lot of podcasts in the last like 2 months, but I mean, someone said, I think it was Rich Roll, but you know, we're here for a reason, and you know, our goal is to find out our true purpose and live out our purpose. And, you know, so when I first heard that, I thought maybe sobriety, my purpose was being sober and being active in long-term recovery, but you know, that's missing the point too. So I think my answer to the question is, like, in my search for purpose and living out my true life original purpose, I realized that like you were talking about, drugs and alcohol were taken away from that. I wasn't authentic, and it put obstacles in my journey. And lo and behold, you know, you talked about being sober. You guys you probably did tell me, but I didn't really hear it for a while, that these recovery principles have changed my life, and I can build recovery principles, and it has nothing to do with drugs and alcohol anymore. So like you're saying, you're going to be uncomfortable for that first year or whatever it may be, which I was, but it's still you know, I don't know how you guys did it. I don't know, you know, the magic formula, but you guys came in saying, hey, stop drinking. And then all of a sudden I'm coming to these meetings, looking forward to shaking hands with newcomers and talking about spiritual principles that have now gone into my family and day-to-day life that have nothing to do with drugs and alcohol. So you guys shifted on me. I don't know when or how you shifted, but you gave me living there. It works.
Yeah, I remember I saw a guy speak at early on in LA at an AA meeting. He's like, you know, I just came here to quit drinking. and you people like started pointing out all this other stuff, and like, you know, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. You know, it's like, yeah, bro, I feel you, dog. It's like, turns out that quitting drinking was the easy part, you know. The hard part was learning how to live a different way of life, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think that's the uncomfortable aspect to it, is being the vulnerable, talking about feelings, talking about, you know, whatever, bad days, bad thoughts.
Yep.
The stories everyone laughs at. So it was never the embarrassment of stories, or actually, like, we wait for these incredible stories. Like I sit in quiet trying to think of funny war stories, you know, that I can relate to people that will laugh at me. But it's the vulnerability and it's the feelings. I mean, I'll just tell you, like, my whole family, nothing in my life growing up was ever really talked about or felt like feelings, and it was like emotionally numb. And so that was the most uncomfortable. It's like, why are people talking about their, you know, their fight with their wives, or these thoughts? Or I was like, Jesus, you know. And
oh, no, man.
You know.
All the other stuff.
So that shift happened, but yeah, it doesn't feel natural. Like, I don't think it's sobriety that doesn't feel natural. I think it's the vulnerability, the feelings, the changing of life.
Yeah.
From my story. So.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, same thing here. It was I really thought, oh, I'm just going to quit drinking and everything will be okay because I'm a good guy and I'm a solid guy. And it turns out not so much. Turns out I had to quit drinking, and I also had to completely change the way I went about life, which was great. It turned out to be great, but it was really weird and uncomfortable, and it was a struggle. And I'm totally with you. I mean, I swear to God, I was just like, what? What do you mean? I'm a good person. And they're like, yeah, but you do stupid stuff. I'm like, yeah, can't argue with that.
So. And the reason I was doing some of these things, I mean, just the whole, like, I don't want to ruin it for anyone trying to get early in recovery, but there's like these resentment inventories, there's these fear inventories, there's these, shame kind of inventory, there's amends. Good Lord. Like
stuff never ends, man.
Like if regular people went through this, like there's a lot of people in the world today that, do not have an addictive personality that can certainly benefit from the same recovery principles. So I see it as a leg up. I kind of see it as a cheat code to life, like, and it costs, $1 or $2 every time I go. So,
yeah. And they're also real clear. If you ain't got no dollar, don't worry about it. So.
Yep. All righty, Kevin. Another week. You can take the rest of the day off, of course, because locked in. So tell your bosses. We do this every week to the best of our ability in the Thursday-ish. And keep the questions coming, and we'll keep doing the show. Kevin, I'll see you later.
All right, my brother. Good to see you. Thanks for